Hello and welcome to the fourth video in this series looking at a gentle introduction to neural networks. So last video then we had a pipe scrolling across the screen. I'd like in this video to get us to having pairs of pipes scrolling across the screen. Just as a quick recap for how things are going to work here, so it doesn't get confusing when we do the definitions. We have an upper pipe, a lower pipe, as you know, the diagram here. We'll define a definition of how big the pipe gap should be between the pipes. That'll always be constant. We will have, however, define a pipe max and a pipe min. So the lowest Y and the max Y that we can have for our pipes so that we keep the gaps that the pipes offer within a certain range towards the top and the bottom of the screen. The other thing we'll do is define a value in pixels that will be the gap between the pipes appearing on the screen as well. So going into the code then, to do all of this we need some more definitions, fortunately or unfortunately. The first one we'll have, or the first three we'll have, we'll have pipe add gap, pipe min and pipe max. They're the ones that you've just seen. The add gap is the gap between pairs of pipes being added. And then I'll add in three more as well. The start X position of a new pipe will be basically the width of the screen, so a pipe will start on the right hand side of the screen. The gap size is this size of the gap between two pipes. And pipe first. Pipe first is actually the position of the first pair of pipes each time we start a game. So if I just go back to here, most pipes will come on the screen. I'll just drag this one here at display width, which would effectively be here. And when we first start the game, we want some pipes already to be present somewhere on the screen. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait a long time for them to scroll across the screen and hit the birds. That's not good for us because it's boring, and actually it makes the learning algorithm take quite a while longer to learn because nothing happens. So what we'll do then is define the X position for 100 of where the first pair of pipes should be where each time the game restarts. And you'll see in the code how we use that. Now we've got some definitions. I want to go into pipe.py. We've got our pipe class from last time, still as it is. And now what I want to do is add a new class called a pipe collection. And this class will manage then a collection of pipes. Okay, so we have the definition of our class. We have the initialization there. We take in a reference to the game display, which we need to draw all of the pipes. And we also create a list called pipes. And this list is actually going to contain all of the current pipes on the screen, or all the pipes that are active and moving, let's say. What I'd now like to do is write a function that actually adds a pair of pipes onto the screen. And before I do that, I'll just go back to here. The only thing to get your head around here, I mean, it's not very tricky. We've got the pipe max and the pipe min here. If I just flick backwards and forwards, so that's the full range that we could have for some pipes. We want to have a Y value, get referenced for the upper pipe that's between pipe min and pipe max, except that'll be pipe max minus the gap, because this pipe max refers to the top of the lower pipe. You'll see how that looks in code in a minute, but just in case you're wondering the code why we're doing that subtraction, you know why. So we need to add a function now that adds two new pipes as a pair, an upper and a lower, at a certain position onto the screen. So we have our new pipe pair, and now, as I said, I want to get the Y position for the top pipe, the upper pipe, and I want to get the Y position for the lower pipe. So to do that then, the top one will be a random between pipe min that we've seen and pipe max minus the gap size, and that'll be then the Y position of the upper pipe, and the Y position of the lower pipe will be the top Y plus the gap size. So what we need to do now then is add a couple of pipes, and I'll paste in the code here. We've seen something very similar to this before. P1 and P2 I'll call them, and we send in our game display reference, the X position, a top bottom Y as we need, and an upper pipe and a lower pipe, and P1 and P2 will now be pipes that we have created. The only thing remaining is to add these to our list. And that's all there is to adding a new pipe pair. One thing you might be wondering about, and correctly, is we know that the Y refers to the top of the sprite. Now I've got my top Y here, and my top Y has been defined as something between this pipe min and then pipe max minus the gap. But when I have my upper pipe, my top Y of course will be at the top of the pipe here, which is not quite correct. So we need to add a little bit of code into our pipe class here in the initialization just to deal with that. So here we'll say that if the pipe type is upper, then let's subtract the height of our pipe from the Y position that we're declaring. And that will now shift the Y by the amount we need to position the pipe correctly. Okay, so we have a function then to add a new pipe pair, and this can be called every time the gap between, well, the gap that exists from when the last pipe was added, so when that hits that min pipe gap of 160 pixels, I think, that we add then a new pair to the screen. The slight problem we face though is when we want to start the game afresh. We don't want to start with pipes off to the right hand side of the screen. They need to be in a fixed position in the middle of the screen. So we're going to add a sort of an almost hard-coded function here, but to deal with that, I'm going to call this create new set, and this will be called every time we start a new game. We'll wipe the current list of pipes, get rid of them all, and then we'll use that pipe first that we defined in the defs.py here to iterate and add pipes onto the screen before we then start the game. So we have create new set. So the first thing we do is reset and get rid of everything on our list. We've got a new empty list. Placed, so the X position where we've placed something is now at pipe first, which is 400, and now we'll just loop and place new pipe pairs whilst placed is less than our display width. So place starts at 400, so we'll say while placed So what we do inside this loop then is we say whilst place is less than display width, and of course place starts off as 400, the width is 960, we add a new pair at 400, and then we increment it by the pipe add gap, which is 160, so it will be 560, add a new pair, and keep going on adding new pairs until, or whilst placed is less than the display width of 960. So we get some pipes actually on the screen every time the game starts. The last thing to do then is simply add the update. So we had the update before of the pipe directly in the main. This time we're going to have an update inside here, and this update function will then update all of our pipes. And this takes, of course, the argument delta time as well. First thing I'm going to do is declare a new variable called rightmost to keep track of the rightmost point of the most recently added pair of pipes, so that we know whether we need to add a new pair or not. And now what we'll do is we'll loop through the pipes and update rightmost. For p in self.pipes, update our pipe with not p but with delta time, sorry. And now if it's an upper pipe, check whether the left hand side of it is further than our rightmost. If it is, reset our rightmost. And now we've updated all of the pipes. If our rightmost is less than our width minus the gap between the pipes, then we know we need to add some new pipes. And when we add a new pair here, they get added onto the very right hand side of the screen. So now we've updated all of our pipes. There's one more thing to do. I only want the list pipes to have the pipes that are on the screen and moving. We need to get rid of anything that's not moving. And you remember that when we do the check status, we set here that if the pipe has gone off the left hand side of the screen, we set pipe done. Then what we'll do now is in the code here down at the bottom of update, we'll just we'll filter out, of our list all of the stuff that isn't pipe moving. So we'll take our actual list. So we'll take each of the pipes in our list, but only where the state of that pipe is pipe moving. And that means every time we update, any pipe that's gone off the left-hand side of the screen is no longer visible and will be removed from our list and won't take up any unnecessary computation. So hopefully I haven't made a huge amount of spelling mistakes in here because it's all been written without actually testing anything. I'm just trying to see the tabs look okay. Let's move on then to main.py and make the adjustments there to add a load of pipes instead of just one pipe as we do on line 32 here. So the first thing I'm going to do is delete this line here, and now just below the background image here, so I don't get confused later on, let's make a new pipes variable and say this is equal to pipe collection. And of course what I do need to do is from pipe is now import pipe collection rather than importing pipe. So I've just gone at the top there, line 3, and changed that to import pipe collection. Let's go back down, and pipes is now equal to pipe collection, and that takes the game display as its argument in there, and then everything is set up. And what I'd like to do now is just do pipes and create new set, which will create the new pipes for us. Last thing to do then is inside the while running here, we can call pipes.update, and that should be all we need to do then to get some pipes scrolling across the screen. So let's have a look how many typing errors I've made. And actually it seems to be working okay. What you can see is when the game started, the pipes appeared in the middle of the screen, and now we've got pipes scrolling across the screen at regular intervals and also with a consistent gap, but you can see quite clearly the gaps are randomly placed. Good. One last thing I could do actually is just comment out this pipe moving and pipe done. We don't need that in the console anymore. Okay, that's it then for this video. In the next video we can start looking at adding the bird onto the game, and we can slowly but surely get towards making our neural net and making it play. So thanks very much for watching this video. Comments, questions welcome as always on YouTube.